The atmosphere in Los Angeles is thick with unprecedented tension, crackling like a live wire about to snap. At the epicenter of this impending storm is Forrester Creations, a legacy fashion house currently bleeding from the catastrophic public relations nightmare caused by Hope Logan's shocking defection. Ridge Forrester, the legendary patriarch and co-CEO, finds himself utterly paralyzed in the brutal, unforgiving crossfire of a corporate and familial war. On one side stands his daughter, Steffy Forrester, whose arrogant, condescending leadership pushed Hope out the door. On the other side stands his wife, Brooke Logan, radicalized by fury and entirely delusional about her ability to control the narrative. Ridge is a man drowning in the expectations of the women he loves, emotionally exhausted from constantly playing the reluctant peacemaker in a battle where every victory feels like a devastating defeat. His soul is weary, his patience is completely depleted, and his marriage is buckling under the immense, suffocating weight of the Hope and Steffy rivalry. Into this volatile, highly combustible environment steps a ghost from Ridge's complicated past, a woman whose very name sends shivers of rage down Brooke Logan's spine, Shauna Fulton. The chaotic, glamorous, and endlessly opportunistic Shauna makes a shocking return to Los Angeles, armed with dangerous insider knowledge leaked by her daughter, Flo Logan, through the newly returned Wyatt Spencer. Shauna does not arrive quietly. She bursts back onto the canvas with the force of a hurricane. Ostensibly, her return is framed around a bold, audacious business proposal pitched directly to the booming Logan fashion empire. Shauna marches into the Logan executive offices, demanding a piece of their rapidly expanding global pie. However, this business venture is merely a brilliant, calculated smokescreen. Shauna's true objective has absolutely nothing to do with fashion or corporate expansion. Her ultimate target is the man she once briefly married in a drunken Las Vegas haze, Ridge Forrester. Shauna is a master tactician when it comes to matters of the heart, and she recognizes a golden opportunity when she sees one. She knows that anchoring herself to the Logan brand's expansion provides her with a legitimate, unassailable reason to remain permanently in Los Angeles. It grants her the perfect excuse to circulate within the same elite social and professional circles as the Forrester family. By presenting herself as a formidable businesswoman, Shauna forces everyone, including a highly skeptical Bill Spencer and Katie Logan, to take her seriously. But every strategic move she makes, every meeting she schedules, and every dazzling smile she flashes is meticulously designed to put her in the direct line of sight of the Forrester patriarch. Shauna is acutely aware that Ridge's marriage to Brooke is currently fracturing under the immense pressure of the Hope drama, and she is perfectly positioned to slip through those widening cracks. To understand the sheer danger of Shauna's return, one must deeply analyze Ridge Forrester's current psychological state. Ridge is a man who has historically fled from intense emotional conflict, often seeking refuge in the arms of another woman when the demands of his current relationship become too suffocating. Right now, Brooke is a relentless force of nature, constantly demanding that Ridge discipline Steffy, constantly berating him for his perceived failures as a father and a husband, and constantly forcing him to choose between his daughter and his wife. Ridge feels entirely inadequate, a cowardly king presiding over a crumbling empire. He is suffocated by Brooke's righteous indignation and her absolute inability to compromise. The sanctuary of his home has been transformed into a bitter, exhausting battlefield, leaving Ridge starved for peace, validation, and uncomplicated affection. This profound vulnerability is precisely what Shauna Fulton exploits with breathtaking precision. When Shauna and Ridge inevitably cross paths, the contrast between her and Brooke is blindingly stark. While Brooke approaches Ridge with demands, ultimatums, and endless grievances, Shauna approaches him with a light, breezy, and entirely undemanding energy. She does not ask him to solve corporate crises. She does not demand that he choose a side in the Steffy and Hope war. Instead, Shauna offers him a sympathetic ear, a warm smile, and a sanctuary from the relentless chaos of his life. She looks at him not as a failing CEO or a disappointing husband, but as a brilliant, wonderful man who is simply carrying too much weight on his broad shoulders. For Ridge, this uncomplicated, validating presence is like a breath of fresh, intoxicating air to a drowning man. He finds himself inexplicably drawn to her warmth, seeking out her company just to experience a few fleeting moments of peace. It does not take long for Brooke Logan to detect the subtle, terrifying shift in her husband's demeanor. Brooke possesses a fierce, almost primal territorial instinct when it comes to Ridge, and the moment she spots Shauna Fulton lingering around Forrester Creations, her historical trauma ignites into a blinding inferno. Brooke knows exactly what Shauna is capable of. She vividly remembers the Las Vegas marriage and the manipulative lengths Shauna went to in order to steal Ridge away in the past. Seeing this desert vixen circling her emotionally fragile husband sends Brooke into a state of erratic, hypervigilant paranoia. Her already frayed nerves, decimated by Hope's secret defection to the Logan brand, completely snap. Brooke becomes consumed by the absolute certainty that Shauna is actively plotting to destroy her marriage, and this obsession begins to dictate her every waking thought. Brooke's escalating paranoia ironically becomes the very catalyst that drives Ridge further away. Unable to contain her fury, Brooke confronts Ridge with explosive accusations, demanding that he banish Shauna from his life, from the building, and from the city altogether. She screams about Shauna's past transgressions, painting the woman as a manipulative predator. However, to a deeply exhausted Ridge, Brooke's frantic demands merely sound like another layer of suffocating control. Instead of reassuring his wife, Ridge pushes back, defending Shauna's right to be in Los Angeles and criticizing Brooke for her relentless hostility. He argues that Shauna has been nothing but a supportive friend during a remarkably dark time. This defense shatters Brooke, widening the marital cracks into gaping chasms. The more Brooke tightens her grip, desperately trying to control Ridge's interactions, the more Ridge resents her, inadvertently pushing him directly into Shauna's waiting, sympathetic arms. Shauna, observing this marital disintegration from strategic distance, plays her role with absolute, terrifying perfection. She does not overtly throw herself at Ridge. Instead, she employs a calculated empathy that makes her utterly indispensable to his emotional survival. During their stolen moments together, Shauna softly strokes his ego, validating his immense frustration with the constant family infighting. She murmurs sweet, reassuring words, telling him that he is a good man who deserves to be happy, not constantly embattled in his own home. She subtly paints Brooke as a woman who only values Ridge when he is actively serving her agenda, contrasting that with her own supposedly unconditional admiration. Shauna weaves a delicate, invisible web of emotional intimacy, ensuring that Ridge begins to associate her presence with peace and Brooke's presence with agonizing conflict. The inevitable climax of this simmering tension occurs on one fateful, unforgettable evening at the Forrester Creations executive offices. The building is quiet, the bustling energy of the daytime replaced by long, stretching shadows and a heavy, oppressive silence. Ridge is alone in the design room, staring blankly at sketches he cannot focus on, nursing a glass of scotch as the crushing weight of his fractured family presses down upon him. He is a man at the absolute end of his tether, drowning in guilt, regret, and profound loneliness. As if summoned by his internal despair, Shauna Fulton coincidentally arrives. She brings no demands, no corporate agendas, and no familial ultimatums. She simply brings herself, gliding into the dimly lit office with a soft, understanding gaze and a gentle touch that sends a jolt of long-forgotten electricity straight to Ridge's weary heart. The atmosphere in the office shifts, becoming thick with an unspoken, dangerous intimacy. What begins as a quiet conversation about the burdens of leadership quickly bleeds into deeply personal territory. Shauna steps closer, her voice a soothing melody as she reaches out to trace the worry lines etched into Ridge's handsome face. Ridge, starved for this exact brand of uncomplicated, tender affection, does not pull away. The physical proximity becomes intoxicating. The sun-drenched shores of Los Angeles and the vibrant atmosphere of the newly reopened Bikini Bar have recently provided a desperate illusion of peace for Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes. After enduring countless trials, tribulations, and the relentless interference of outside forces, this unlikely couple has finally begun to envision a stable, loving future together. Deacon, having poured his heart, soul, and financial resources into the grand reopening of his beloved establishment, views this era as his ultimate redemption. He is no longer the scheming opportunist of his past. He is a legitimate businessman, deeply in love with a woman who sees the good in him. Taylor, a world-renowned psychiatrist who has spent her life healing the minds of others, while often neglecting her own fragile heart, has found an unexpected sanctuary in Deacon's unwavering devotion. However, in the treacherous world of Forrester, Logan, and Spencer dynasties, happiness is often just a fragile glass house waiting for the first stone to be thrown. And the person holding the heaviest stone is none other than the master of chaos herself, Sheila Carter. For weeks, a terrifying, ominous silence has emanated from Sheila Carter. Those who know her best understand that her quiet phases are never periods of surrender. They're the meticulous, calculating incubation periods of her most destructive plots. Sheila has never been a woman to accept defeat gracefully, especially when it comes to matters of the heart and her obsessive desire to reclaim Deacon Sharp. She has watched from the shadows, her resentment festering as Taylor and Deacon parade their newfound happiness. Sheila's mind, a labyrinth of vindictive brilliance, has been working overtime, constructing a psychological trap so insidious that its victims will not even realize they are caught until the walls begin to crush them. She understands that a direct, physical attack would only unite Deacon and Taylor against her, solidifying their bond. Therefore, she has chosen a far more sophisticated and devastating weapon, the weapon of doubt. Her ultimate goal is to completely obliterate the foundation of trust upon which their relationship is built. The psychological warfare commences with the arrival of anonymous letters, meticulously crafted to bypass Taylor's logical defenses and strike directly at her deepest insecurities. These are not the frantic, unhinged scrawls of a jealous ex-lover. They are calculated, chillingly precise documents that arrive at Taylor's office and home, slipping past her usual security measures. The letters plant a highly toxic seed, suggesting that Deacon's entire relationship with Taylor is nothing more than an elaborate, cold-blooded charade. The anonymous author, Sheila, hiding behind a veil of faux concern, insinuates that Deacon is still secretly involved with her, sharing clandestine rendezvous while maintaining a public facade with Taylor. More devastatingly, the letters accuse Deacon of a financial motive, claiming that his affections are merely a strategic maneuver to secure Taylor's vast wealth and assets to fund his business ventures. For a woman who has been manipulated and betrayed in the past, these words are a highly concentrated poison designed to paralyze her heart. As a seasoned psychiatrist, Taylor Hayes is trained to recognize the signs of manipulation, gaslighting, and psychological abuse. She has built a career on helping patients navigate the treacherous waters of cognitive dissonance and emotional trauma. Yet, when the target is her own heart, the clinical objectivity vanishes, replaced by a suffocating wave of vulnerability. Sheila is weaponizing Taylor's professional expertise against her, presenting a narrative that, on paper, fits the classic profile of a sociopathic grifter. Taylor begins to scrutinize every interaction, every affectionate glance, and every late-night business meeting Deacon claims to have. When Deacon returns from a long shift at the Bikini Bar, smelling of the ocean breeze and stale alcohol, Taylor's mind, poisoned by Sheila's letters, wonders if he has just returned from Sheila's arms. The internal conflict is agonizing. Taylor desperately wants to believe in the man who has brought such unexpected joy into her life, but the persistent, nagging voice of doubt threatens to drag her into a severe mental crisis. Deacon Sharp, entirely oblivious to the invisible war being waged against him, is suddenly thrust into a nightmare of accusations and suspicion. When Taylor finally confronts him, her voice trembling with a mixture of heartbreak and defensive anger, Deacon is utterly blindsided. He has spent years fighting to shed his reputation as a con artist, working tirelessly to prove to his daughter, Hope Logan, and to the world that he is a changed man. His love for Taylor is the most genuine, stabilizing force he has ever experienced. The accusation that he is using her for her money, while secretly carrying on a torrid affair with the woman who shot his own daughter's mother-in-law, is a staggering blow to his soul. Deacon immediately goes on the defensive, his voice cracking with desperate sincerity as he vehemently denies the allegations. He pleads with Taylor to look into his eyes, to see the truth of his devotion, and to recognize the malicious intent of whoever is sending these letters. But words are often insufficient when battling a ghost that leaves concrete evidence. Sheila Carter is not a novice when it comes to psychological destruction. She is a grandmaster, and she has anticipated Deacon's frantic denials. To ensure that her poison takes full effect, Sheila has meticulously manufactured a trail of sophisticated, irrefutable fake evidence. In an era where digital manipulation and deepfakes have already wreaked havoc on the Forrester family, as seen with the recent trauma inflicted upon Electra Forrester by Remy Price, Sheila utilizes similar dark tactics. She produces forged receipts indicating extravagant purchases made by Deacon for Sheila, manipulated photographs showing the two of them in compromising, intimate situations, and even doctored audio recordings that seem to capture Deacon mocking Taylor's emotional fragility. Every time Deacon manages to soothe Taylor's fears and rebuild a fraction of her trust, Sheila delivers another devastating blow, dropping a new piece of fabricated evidence that shatters the fragile peace. She is always one step ahead, anticipating Deacon's defensive maneuvers and neutralizing them with chilling efficiency. The bikini bar, once envisioned as a vibrant symbol of Deacon's hard-won redemption and a joyful sanctuary for his new life with Taylor, is tragically transformed into a psychological battlefield. The neon lights and tropical decor now serve as a surreal, mocking backdrop to the intense emotional warfare playing out within its walls. When Taylor visits the establishment, she is no longer the proud, supportive partner. She is a hyper-vigilant detective, analyzing the body language of the staff, scrutinizing Deacon's interactions with female patrons, and jumping at every shadow, half expecting Sheila to emerge with a triumphant, wicked smirk. The joyous reopening party, which was supposed to be a crowning achievement, is tainted by the underlying tension. Deacon walks on eggshells, terrified that a misplaced word or a delayed text message will be misconstrued as proof of his guilt. The very environment that was meant to celebrate their love has become a suffocating prison of suspicion and paranoia, exactly as Sheila intended. The brilliance of Sheila's diabolical plan lies in its multi-layered objectives. While reclaiming Deacon is her primary motivation, she is acutely aware of the broader chessboard of Los Angeles society.